Good morning, class. Today we're going to go on a virtual field trip around Utah and to some of the different landmarks that we can find here. We're going to start off by going to one of my favorite places, which is Arches National Park. It's found right next to Moab in southern Utah. And based off of the name, what do you think are some of the special type of rock formations which are found here? Yeah, definitely. One of the special land formations found here is arches, and there's actually over 2,000 natural sandstone arches found in Arches National Park. It's a really large park with the 2,000 different arches, and there's lots of different hikes that people can go on and visit. One of the most favorite and most famous is Delicate Arch. And this arch you'll actually see on the license plate here in Utah, so a lot of you may have seen it before. As we go inside of this arch, we're able to take a look here and see what this arch looks like. And so as we're just scanning the area with our camera, you can see some lovely hikers who are here to see the arch as well. And as we keep looking around, you see the La Salle Mountains in the background and some other of the red sandstone structures found in this Moab area. But right here is Delicate Arch, the most famous one, like I said, in Arches National Park, excuse me. How does this look different from the area that we live in? How are these landscapes different? Yeah, for sure. You can see that there's a lot of different rock formations around here, not just arches, and a lot of it is based off of this red sandstone. Here in Provo, where we live, you do not find this red sandstone. We do have mountains like you see off in the distance over there, right around here. But other than that, it is very different. We're a lot more green here. And so even though it is in Utah, it's an entirely different place. And so if we go back, let me exit the photo here. If we exit the photo and just go back to arches, we'll actually find right over here, that we have a website, and this website is actually put out by Arches National Park and is for us to learn about the area. And so I want you all to gather together in groups of 2 and 3 and just take some time to explore this website, and then we'll get back together and talk about it. So class, now that you've had a chance to look at the website and play some of the different interactive games, what are some things that you and your partners learned from using this website? Great, yeah, there's definitely a lot of different types of arches and lots of different things found in this park beyond just arches. So the next place that we're going to visit on our field trip is the Great Salt Lake. And the picture that you see right here is actually of some kids floating in the Salt Lake. And the Great Salt Lake is the largest saltwater lake in the Western Hemisphere. And because it has so much salt, people are able to easily float here. How do you guys think that all the salt makes it easier for people to float? Why does that make sense? Those are some great answers. The reason that this is because of the high density in the water. And I know density is a word that probably doesn't make a lot of sense to us right now, but if you guys just kind of keep that in the back of your mind, we're going to cover that a little bit more later when we go into our science lesson, and we'll try to explain why it is that people float easier in the salt water. But something else that's interesting about the Great Salt Lake is the fact that on the Northern Hemisphere, it is the largest body of salt water. And so that's definitely something special to Utah. You can see here that that's a really great big lake, especially compared to some of these other smaller lakes in the distance. But here's another picture of the Salt Lake. And it's just a really beautiful one right at sunset. And so you can just see some of the clouds and also just see how beautiful this lake can be. But what do you guys think are some different animals that live at the Great Salt Lake? Yeah, it makes sense that a lot of you are guessing different types of fish, considering when we go to lots of different lakes, what we see is fish. However, there's really very few fish that can actually survive in the salt water. Why do you guys think that is? Yeah, those answers definitely make sense. But one animal that we see a lot of here are birds. So there's lots of birds that live in the surrounding area instead of fish like you see at most other lakes. So those are some very good reasonings and very good guesses. Good hypothesis, class. All right, now the last landmark that we're going to visit is different from the last two because this one isn't found out in nature. It's not natural, but rather it's something that we built, that men have built. And so if you'll see here that we have a YouTube video, and if you go ahead and watch this YouTube video, it's actually the national anthem, the Utah State Anthem. And so we're going to go ahead and take a chance to listen to that and to learn that as a class. Now that we know the national anthem, or the Utah State Anthem, we know a little bit more about the state of Utah from the things that the song teaches us, which is a lot of really great things. But as you can see here from 3D buildings, here is the state capitol. And the state capitol, you can see, is in a really pretty location. And it's actually located on the top of Capitol Hill, and it overlooks all of Salt Lake City. And so if we zoom in just a little bit, we can go ahead and take this man, I'll put him on the ground here. And just like you would be able to if we went to Salt Lake, we can walk around the Capitol building. And so as we're walking around, you can see that there's some other buildings. Right here we have a United States flag, just kind of waving in the wind. You can see the back side of the building here. And we're just walking around it. But as we're walking around this building, class, who do you think are some people who might work in the Capitol building? Yeah, definitely. Mayors and governors. Yeah, there might be some different lawyers. Okay, those are some really great ideas, class. Yeah, so there's a lot of different people who work in the Capitol building. And these people help to make the laws that we have here in Utah. And why are laws important? Yeah, they help keep us safe, exactly. So the people who are working in this building are the people who are making the laws and the rules that help keep us safe. And so we're all very grateful for them, because if it wasn't for them, life would be really, really crazy. But we're going to go ahead now and measure to see just how long the Capitol building actually is. So we're going to go ahead and get outside of 3D buildings, and we're also going to exit ground level view, just so we can get a better look at the building. And so look, it's all squished and flat now, so it's harder to recognize it as a building, but you guys are smart, so I know that you can tell that this is still our Capitol building. And so if we go right up here, we can grab the ruler, and we're going to measure this in inches. So we're going to start by putting it on this red line right here, and we're going to bring it all the way over here to the far end of this red line, and it tells us that it's 4,979 inches. Wow, that's a really long building. What other things do you think are that long? Yeah, definitely. There's not a lot of things that we can think off the top of our head, but lots of buildings are, for sure. Perfect, class. Well, that's it for our field trip for the day. So we're going to go ahead and exit out of here, and if you guys want to get your books out, we'll go ahead and we'll get started on our next